Ever wonder what happens when humble humans outsmart a superior alien race? Earth's survival hinges on unpredictable bioagents and cunning tactics. Facing the Drarix head-on, our heroes use their wit and resolve to twist the tide. The tale builds to a crescendo where new allies emerge from the fog. Can humanity, marred but unbroken, forge a brighter future? Stay with us to witness the finale that laughs in the face of despair. Your comments could be the key to our victory. Captain Eli Blackwood squinted at the horizon, the sky darkening with unnatural fog. He never thought he'd miss the days of regular pollution. As the alien-induced carnivorous plague spread, vines twisted and cracked through concrete, buildings crumbling like biscuits in tea. Muttering under his breath, he fastened his combat suit. "Reminds me of my last birthday party," he said, half to himself, half to the air. Dr. Ingrid Voss, a few feet away, was scribbling feverishly into a holographic tablet. "You know, Eli, your birthday parties would probably be more fun if they didn't feature giant mutant plants," she said, her eyes flickering with manic glee. "Point taken," Eli replied, watching a vine snake its way up a skyscraper. "But I've always loved a good horror show." Their team was a mix of military vets and rogue scientists, each one a poster child for humanity's survival instincts. They were holed up in what remained of a once grand research facility, now reduced to rubble and makeshift labs. This wasn't how Eli had planned to spend retirement, but he wasn't one for quiet living. He preferred the adrenaline rush, even if it meant facing the grotesque. "Captain, incoming transmission from the Zilthians," called out Kent, a wiry communications officer with a tendency to stutter under pressure. "Patch it through," Eli said. The display flickered to life, revealing the ethereal visage of High Counselor Zephyra. Her metallic blue skin glinted under a cold light. "Captain Blackwood, we hope you have a solution for the Drarix," she said, her voice like smooth, flowing water. "Well, we've been cooking up something special," Eli replied, his lips curving into a sardonic smile. "Think of it as a parting gift for our unwanted guests." Zephyra's expression remained stoic. "Failure is not an option, Captain. The survival of many worlds depends on this." With that, the transmission ended. "Always the charmer," Ingrid said, her eyes still glued to her work. Eli glanced over her shoulder, watching as a virtual model of a spore evolved into increasingly monstrous forms. They didn't call her Mad Vosses for nothing. "You know, if we survive this, I might just retire for real," Eli mused, eyeing the mayhem outside. Ingrid snorted. "You? Retire? You'd be bored within a week." "Fair point," he conceded. "Still, one can dream of beaches and margaritas." He turned to the rest of his team. "All right, folks, listen up. We're not here to admire our macabre handiwork. By dawn, we need to infiltrate the Drarix hive ship and plant our little surprise." A grumble of acknowledgments followed. Eli studied their faces, tired but determined. Hell, determination was humanity's greatest asset. "We've got one shot at this," he continued, his tone shifting to that of a veteran commander. "The Drarix think of us as insects. Let's show them what happens when you back a colony of termites into a corner." Kent, now noticeably calmer, handed Eli a small device. "Microbuffer is ready, sir. It'll hack into their systems, give you full access to their bioweapon protocols." Eli accepted it with a firm nod. "Good work, Kent, and try not to die. You're at least half decent with tech." "As long as you keep your end of the bargain," Kent muttered. Hours later, under the cover of the mutant-induced darkness, the team moved out, silent and calculated. The city lay in ruins, but Eli's dark humor kept morale high. "Remember, the Drarix have no idea what we're up to," he said as they approached the hive ship. "Let's keep it that way." The alien craft loomed like a cancerous growth on the landscape, oozing menace. Eli's heart pounded in sync with the oppressive ambience. As he primed the micro-buffer, he couldn't help but chuckle. Time for the cockroaches to bite back. His fingers danced over the device's interface, thoughts racing alongside his heartbeat. If this failed, there would be no one left to hear his final punchline. The console beeped. Access granted. Eli grinned, a dark gleam in his eye. "Welcome to Earth, fellas." "Sirs," he whispered, Enjoy your stay. The hive ship's interior was a labyrinth of organic corridors, pulsating with eerie bioluminescence. Eli led his team carefully, each step deliberate and silent. The air was thick with the smell of alien slime, a nauseating blend of rot and chemicals. Eli glanced over at Ingrid, who was scanning the walls with her handheld device. "Reminds you of prom night, doesn't it?" he quipped. Her eyes twinkled with a dark amusement. There were fewer tentacles, but then again, the date was worse. Eli smirked, feeling a small relief in the humor. Keeping his team's spirits up was half the battle. "Let's get to the core and plan our little surprise, shall we?" As they maneuvered through the ship, the tension was palpable. Every now and then, strange hissing noises echoed down the corridors, making everyone flinch. Eli's mind was razor sharp, aware of every sound, every flicker of movement. They couldn't afford mistakes. Not at this stage. "Captain, we have movement," whispered Kent, who was monitoring their rear. "A patrol unit, 6 o'clock." Eli peeked around a corner. Two Drarix soldiers, their dark exoskeletons glistening, were approaching. "Everyone down," he commanded softly. They pressed against the walls, cloaked in shadows. The Drarix clicked and hissed to each other, their mandibles snapping rhythmically. "Sounds like they're ready for a banquet," Eli muttered. "Too bad we're not on the menu." He motioned for them to move as soon as the patrol passed. They slipped through another tunnel, just as disturbing as the last. Finally, they reached the core, a massive pulsating node at the heart of the ship. It was surrounded by strands of sinew-like cables, all throbbing in a synchronized pattern. Eli's heart pounded in his chest. This was it. "Ingrid, set the device," he ordered. She nodded, moving swiftly to place the micro-buffer into the central console. "Accessing their bioweapon protocols now," she said, her fingers flying over the controls. The screen lit up, displaying streams of alien data. Eli peered over her shoulder, a sly grin forming. "Let's give them a taste of human creativity, shall we?" Ingrid's face lit up with a triumphant smile as she initiated the hack. They'll never know what hit them. Suddenly, the ship's alarm rang out, a deafening klaxon. Red lights flashed throughout the corridor, bathing them in a blood-like glow. "Damn it, they've detected us," Kent shouted. "Defensive positions now!" Eli barked, drawing his weapon. The Drarix soldiers would arrive any second. The team erected makeshift barricades from debris, readying for a firefight. Eli's mind raced as the first Drarix troops stormed in, their eyes glowing fiercely. "Hold the line!" he shouted, firing his blaster. Energy bolts zipped through the air, striking the insects with sizzling precision. Ingrid's voice cut through the noise. "Almost done. Just need a few more seconds." "Take your time," Eli replied dryly. "We're just hosting a rave over here." He shot down another Drarix, their exoskeletons shattering. Kent took a hit to the shoulder, gritting his teeth in pain. "Eli, we can't hold them forever." "Hold the line!" Eli yelled again, his voice carrying an unyielding resolve. He felt the weight of every life depending on their success. He wanted to make those alien bastards pay. Ingrid finally shouted, "Got it! The device is active." Eli turned, eyes blazing. "Fall back. Head to extraction." They moved in unison, retreating while laying down suppressive fire. The ship quaked around them, groaning under the stress of the hacked systems. Units of Drarix swarmed, but Eli and his team were quick, navigating through the chaotic innards of the hive ship. Reaching the extraction point, Eli couldn't help but laugh. Next time, let's find a challenge. This was almost too easy. As they boarded their shuttle, the hive ship began to implode, a victim of its own treachery. Kent, still clutching his wounded shoulder, managed a weak smile. "I thought you said no one likes a show-off." Eli smirked as the doors closed. "Only because they can't handle the competition." As they rocketed away, the Drarix craft erupted in a spectacular fiery bloom, and for now, the humans had bought themselves a bit more time. The aftermath of the hive ship's destruction brought a strange, uneasy calm. Earth had a moment to breathe, but Eli knew it wouldn't last. The Drarix wouldn't take this lying down. He stood on a makeshift observation deck, looking out over the ruined city. Nature, now dominated by grotesque alien flora, painted a grim picture. Eli, Ingrid called from behind him, her voice snapping him out of his thoughts. We're analyzing the data from the microbuffer. Looks like it worked. The Drarix are scrambling. He turned, a grim smile tugging at his lips. Scrambling? Good. Maybe they'll break a few legs in the process. Ingrid chuckled darkly. We've got another problem, though. Our bioagents, they're evolving faster than expected. Eli's brow furrowed. Faster, you say? How bad? The scientist handed him the data pad, showing streams of genetic mutations. Bad as in, it's become unpredictable. There's a risk it could spread beyond controlled zones. Eli stared at the data, a nagging worry in the back of his mind. He had always trusted Ingrid's brilliance, but this was new territory. Well, unpredictability is just another challenge, he said, his voice hardening. We adapt, just like the enemy. The team gathered for a briefing in their command center, a converted warehouse filled with improvised tech. Kent's shoulder was bandaged, and he was sharper than ever, despite his injury. Captain, the Drarix are retaliating on multiple fronts. Our forces are stretched thin. A holographic map flared to life. Red blips indicated Drarix incursions. Eli's eyes scanned the projections. Time to show them that humans don't back down. He moved to the center of the room, commanding attention. Listen up, everyone. The Drarix think we're predictable, easy prey. We're going to prove them wrong. We hit them where it hurts. Bioweapon research facilities, supply routes, anything that cripples their war machine. Kent nodded. We've identified key targets, but they're heavily guarded. We'll need to be smart about this. Smart is our middle name, Eli replied with a sardonic grin. And if it isn't, it should be. The team chuckled, the tension easing slightly. Eli continued. Ingrid, any way we can control those bioagents of ours? She shook her head. Control? No. But I can direct their evolution, sort of. It's like steering a stampede. Then we ride the stampede right through their lines, Eli said. Get those agents into their supply chain. Let's turn their own nightmare against them. As preparations began, Eli found himself alone for a moment. His thoughts drifted back to his family, safe in hidden bunkers. Each step they took was for them, and for everyone else relying on their success. Their first target was an underground Drarix lab. The team moved with caution, aware of every shadow. Eli led, a silent determination in his stride. They reached a vent, their entry point. Eli opened it, glancing back. Ladies first, he said with a cheeky smile. Ingrid rolled her eyes but crawled in, followed by the rest of the team. The lab was bustling with activity, Drarix scurrying about with alien efficiency. Stick to the plan, Eli whispered. Stay unseen, stay alive. They planted the bioagents without detection, small capsules hidden in critical areas. As they moved to exit, alarms blared. Damn it, Kent cursed. We've been spotted. Eli's heart raced. Move now! They sprinted through the corridors, the sound of Drarix soldiers in pursuit. Blaster fire echoed, making every step a gamble. Eli shot back, taking down a pursuer with precise aim. The team burst out of the lab, setting charges at the entrance. Fire in the hole, Eli yelled, detonating the explosives. The structure collapsed, burying their enemies, and bought them precious seconds. Back in the safety of their shuttle, Eli let out a shaky breath. One step closer, he muttered. One more nail in their coffin. Ingrid glanced at him, worry in her eyes. Eli, these risks. We're running out of time. He locked eyes with her, his resolve hardening. Then we make every second count. We survive, Ingrid. We win. As the shuttle soared back to base, Eli couldn't shake the thought that their biggest battle was yet to come. And he was ready, dark humor and all, to face it head-on. The tension was palpable as Eli's team assembled for the briefing, their faces lit by the flickering holographic map. The latest intel showed the Drarix had regrouped, concentrating their forces around their central command. This would be the final push. Eli paced, his eyes burning with resolve. This is it, folks. We break their command, we break their backs. They won't expect us to strike right at the heart. Kent, leaning on the table, his shoulder still healing, nodded cautiously. They'll throw everything at us. It's a suicide mission. Good thing I'm already living on borrowed time, Eli replied with a dark chuckle. No better time to return the favor. Ingrid stepped forward, her face set in determination. We've modified the bioagents. They're even more virulent now. Once we release them in the command center, there's no turning back. Perfect, Eli said, eyes gleaming. Time to give General Sirach a taste of human ingenuity. The plan was simple in its audacity. Infiltrate the command center, release the bioagents, and get out alive. Each team member had a role, each step choreographed to avoid detection as long as possible. As they approached the monolithic structure that housed the Drarix command, the enormity of the task settled over them. Eli's mind raced, but he kept his exterior calm. Remember, they think we're ants. Let's show them what a swarm can do. They slipped through the outer defenses with stealth, using every bit of human ingenuity. Eli couldn't help but admire how far they'd come. These men and women weren't soldiers by birth. They were survivors, fighters shaped by necessity. In the dim tunnels leading to the core, Kent detected movement. 2 guards ahead, he whispered. Eli signaled for silence, then crept forward, his blaster ready. With swift precision, he neutralized the guards, their bodies slumping to the ground. Sweet dreams, he muttered, the dark humor masking his nerves. They reached the central hub, a massive chamber filled with alien machinery. The air buzzed with energy, and at the center stood General Sirach, his imposing figure commanding the room. Eli's heart pounded with adrenaline. Spread out, plant the charges, Eli ordered under his breath. Ingrid, the bioagents. Ingrid worked quickly, setting the modified capsules into the central console. A glance at Eli confirmed her worry. This is it. Eli nodded, a smirk playing on his lips. Showtime. The first explosion rocked the chamber, sending Drarix soldiers into a frenzy. General Sirach bellowed commands, his eyes scanning for threats. Eli's team unleashed a barrage of blaster fire, keeping the Drarix at bay. Stay on target, Eli shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. We take out the core and get out. Ingrid triggered the bioagents, releasing a cloud of rapidly mutating spores. The effect was immediate and horrifying. Drarix soldiers convulsed, their exoskeletons cracking and warping. Even amidst the battle's din, the screams were chilling. General Sirach turned, his fierce gaze locking onto Eli. You dare defile our sanctum? Eli grinned, adrenaline heightening his senses. Just returning the favor, General. Humanity's got a few surprises left. Sirach charged, a blur of motion, but Eli was ready. They clashed in a fierce, brutal fight, each blow a testament to their resolve. Eli's muscles screamed with exertion, but his mind was clear. He had to win. With a final, desperate lunge, Eli drove his blade into Sirach's chest. The general's eyes widened in shock, then dulled as life slipped away. Eli pulled back, breathing hard, covered in alien blood. No one messes with Earth, he muttered. The team regrouped, fighting their way back through collapsing corridors. As they reached the extraction point, Eli took one last look at the chaos they'd unleashed. Let's go home, he said quietly, his voice filled with grim satisfaction. Back on their shuttle, the reality of their success began to sink in. Exhaustion and relief mingled, but the battle had left its mark. We did it, Ingrid whispered, her eyes on Eli. Eli nodded, the weight of their victory heavy on his shoulders. Yeah, we did, but the war's not over. It never is. As the shuttle soared into the night, Eli allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. They had struck a blow, shown the Drarix in the universe that humanity was a force to be reckoned with. And for now, that was enough. Rain poured down, washing away the grim residue of battle. Eli stood on the makeshift command deck, the glow of the holographic map reflecting in his eyes. Earth was a patchwork of ruins and rebirth, scars slowly starting to heal. The Drarix were in chaos, their commands shattered, their bioweapon facilities compromised. Ingrid approached, her usually sharp eyes softened by exhaustion. Eli, it's surreal. We bought ourselves a chance. We actually did it. She handed him a data pad filled with updates, progress reports on the war efforts, reclamation projects, and now, hopeful signs of recovery. Eli nodded, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Surreal is our specialty, Ingrid. Give humanity some chaos, and we'll turn it into opportunity. Kent limped in, his shoulder now mostly healed, but his spirit unyielding. Captain, more good news. The Zilthians have pledged additional resources and tech. Looks like even they're impressed by our tenacity. Eli chuckled lightly, the sound both relieved and darkly whimsical. They finally realize fighting with humans is more rewarding than against us. About time they caught on. Their command center, now a hub for allied operations, buzzed with activity. Humans and Zilthians worked side by side, a testament to the fragile yet potent alliances formed in desperate times. Eli watched them, pride swelling in his chest. They were battered but unbroken, a force the universe had grossly underestimated. A transmission beeped in, High Counselor Zephyra's shimmering visage appearing. Captain Blackwood, our scouts report Drarix forces retreating on all fronts. Your strategy faltered their confidence. Now is the time to press for a lasting peace. Eli stroked his chin thoughtfully. Peace. Sounds almost too good to be true. Zephyra's eyes narrowed, but not unkindly. We must seize it while we can, Captain. The combined strength of humans and Zilthians will ensure our survival. Eli nodded, agreeing reluctantly. We'll move forward, stabilize what's left and focus on rebuilding. Let's hope peace isn't as fragile as war. Later, under the makeshift canopy that sheltered their base camp, Eli and Ingrid reviewed plans for a new alliance headquarters. The blueprints depicted a symbol of hope, a merging of technologies and cultures. Think it'll hold? Ingrid asked, her voice tinged with uncertainty. Eli studied the blueprints, then glanced up at the sky, rain now a gentle drizzle. We've held this long. We'll make it work. It's what we do best. Just as they shared a rare moment of calm, an urgent shout disrupted the peace. Captain, incoming aerial contact, unidentified, a young officer exclaimed, panic lacing his voice. Eli spun around, eyes narrowed. Brace for impact. Prepare defenses. Minutes felt like hours as the alien ship descended. Its design was unfamiliar, neither Drarix nor Zilthian. The air buzzed with tension, every soldier on edge, weapons ready. Eli stood at the forefront, resolve hard as steel. The vessel landed with a strange grace, its doors hissing open to reveal a new alien envoy. Tall, elegant, draped in shimmering cloth. Their leader stepped forward, a faint smile on their lips. I am Envoy Lyra from the Chrysalid Collective. We come in peace, seeking alliance. Eli's eyes narrowed, skepticism mingling with curiosity. Peace, you say? What kind of alliance are you offering? Lyra extended a slender hand, one built on mutual respect. We observed your resilience against the Drarix. You proved most impressive. Eli exchanged a glance with Ingrid, then took Lyra's hand firmly. Welcome to Earth, Envoy. Join the party. Just don't bring any uninvited guests. Over the following days, negotiations with the Chrysalids progressed rapidly. Trust was slow to build, but Eli's sharp wit and unyielding resolve earned their respect. Together, human, Zilthian, and Chrysalid leaders hashed out terms that promised a new era of cooperation and strength. Eli reflected on the journey, earthshake moments and darkly humorous tests, all leading to this fragile equilibrium. As he stood before the assembled allies, a vision of hope sparked in his eyes. We've faced horrors and emerged stronger. To our new allies, know this: humanity doesn't just survive, we thrive. Welcome to our fight for a better future. Cheers erupted, a symphony of voices unified in purpose. And for the first time in a long while, Eli allowed himself to believe in tomorrow. As the assembly dispersed, Ingrid tapped his shoulder. Think we've seen the last of the nightmares? Eli chuckled, dark but hopeful. Nightmares maybe, but dreams, those we can use. And we've got plenty of those left to share. Their journey wasn't over, but the path ahead glimmered with promise. And that, for Eli, was enough. For now.